this is helping people live their best life,
right?
And healing. So
cool.
It is. So it's fun to.
Well, I think
see this happen.
The other aspect that I keep forgetting to say is what it does also for the horse and the barn owner. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where selfishly I was like, well, I want to be the barn owner because I want all my horses to also get this benefit. Because like horses that are in lesson programs are being worked and trained, it's like, you have to do this. Like, this is your job. You have to do it. And they kind of get burnt out too. But what the therapy space and how we do it's making those positive connections, and it's a mental health boost for the horse also. And so horses that have been used in our lesson program have been really stressed. I intentionally started using them with clients that need to build connection and relaxation. Mm-hmm. And the first session I saw a response in the horse too. Mm-hmm. So not only are humans benefiting from their mental health, but now these horses are finding a more enriched, relaxed, happy life too.
Yeah, which is so amazing.
It really is.
It really is.
And they don't lie. They like drool. They do this like weird thing with their muzzle where when they're relaxed, like you know it.
You know it. Yeah, this one horse has just been really tense. Like literally had to have Botox in her TMJ joint because she was so tense. And so she's been one I've been kind of targeting. And so I brought her in and I was showing the client trigger points. They're called release points, trigger points for relaxation. And so we would do one on the horse and we would do one on ourselves and we would start checking in. And the horse just kind of kept leaning in and I started just massaging her joints and all of a sudden just this release and she was yawning and yawning. Oh. When a horse yawns like that, it's like all the tension is coming out. And then my client starts yawning and just stretching and like, it was like this whole like tension bubble just burst and everyone just relaxed.
It's amazing. Really so cool.
It's really cool because there's these parallel processes that happen with humans and horses and it's beautiful. And it's fun as a therapist because I have to join it because I can't get in the way of it. So I'm here right now in this space. So this has been a stressful process of selling our house, looking for property, buying.
It's been a lot.
Oh my God.
I will fully acknowledge I have participated in elevating the stress level.
I've probably ever done in my entire life.
It's been a workout for sure.
While seeing 20 to 25 clients a week. And I'm like, okay. And in this moment, there's one thing I can do, and it's be 100% here.
Right.
With these people.
That's the secret sauce right there, everybody.
Yeah. And because my work has required that of me, I look around at this insanely stressful, challenging thing we're doing, and it doesn't seem that hard. Like, there's a lot of work. But
buy a property, sell our home, and move the business, and grow the business, and all at the same time.
And
keeping the business intact while you're doing it.
Right.
And it's growing at the same time. It's kind of nuts.
And I would say we have an amazing team of people around us. If it weren't for literally the army of people around us, we would not be functioning. I would be like drooling and like.
And I'd like to point out that Cari Ann is part of that army. Like we seriously outsourced so much to you and your team. Like we're like, oh, we need to get a pod and they can't get us for another month. And then, Pamela's like, I can have one there by the end of the day. And you're like, I was like, thank you so much. So it's just all of these little tiny things. It's a series of tiny details that adds up to be an insurmountable obstacle.
Yeah.
Right?
It does. And the team is real. I say that all the time. Like every single story requires its own unique team. There is no duplicated story out there. And yours is highly dynamic and there's several moving parts. So it was just really being super clear about we are going to get to the end game here. We're going to get to the finish line on this and we're going to keep reworking the team all the way to the finish line. And that's what we did.
And so what was our mantra on the text messages all the time?
Well, I know what mine was.
It's trust the process.
Trust the process.
And the first time I heard that in grad school, and I looked at my professors and I kind of wanted to punch him in the face. I was like, this is awful. Like, I don't think I should trust this process. And at the end, when we graduated, they gave us these little clear wands with glitter inside. And they were like, okay, so here's the magic wand you wanted at the beginning, but you trusted the process and it worked. And I was like, I got to use that. It's really
true.
good.
So we've been using that. And so every time, like, we were willing to outsource, you brought a level of industry expertise, a team of people that are specialized in all of their various things. Like, if you don't have the answer, like, you have a black book that you just open up, like, well, I know someone that does. And you kept telling us things like, I'm going to recommend that we do the following. I'm going to recommend that we price things like this. I'm going to recommend, and every time it didn't matter what we actually felt. We're like, you know what? Trust the process.
Trust the process.
And it was hard to let go of that level of control, but knowing that each one of these little incremental steps brought us closer and closer to the final goal. And now we're in the hurry up and wait phase of all of this, but we started finally, like in the last week, saying, you know what? I feel like I'm allowing myself to be excited.
That's right.
Because it's been one little disappointment or fork in the road.
Yeah.
Or just
there's always.
There's
always. What's crazy about this story is we literally knocked on the door of these sellers and they had no intention of moving, and they're moving in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is just awesome.
It was amazing.
Yeah. It just goes to show you just never know.
Never know.
You never know until you ask. You got to ask the question.
Well, and what's really unique about this story, I think, is like the connections of people that happen because of it.
It's a small world.
It is a small world.
The sellers of this home are good friends. Cousins
to the barn owner that I'm working with. Right
It's
now.
true.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Right. And again, you're like, I say the horse world is small, but like the metro is small, like the world is small. Like it really is. And what I've loved about this process is we have contact between us and the buyers or the sellers about all sorts of things. Like one of the owners is getting hay for her horses for the next few weeks. And she was like, well, do you want me to just get enough for yours? And so we started this whole conversation about hay and sourcing hay, because it's a drought and it's hard to find good hay. And
a whole thing just on that.
And so not only is it like we're buying their home, but now we're also networking together and working together as in the horse community to make sure all the horses are cared for. And she's helping me connect with her network. And it's just a really, it brings it, Ryan and I were talking about this, it brings us back to the old school days where it's like,
handshake deals. Oh, you're buying the Johnson farm. Yeah. You went out and so you're buying the old Johnson farm because you met with old man Johnson, or, it just felt.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Having that connection. And it all started with, hey, people within these following communities, here's what we're trying to do. If you've ever thought about leaving your home and selling it, you should sell it to us and leave a legacy. Here's what we need, right? Like that was the whole point.
That's exactly what we did.
And so like, I feel like taking that approach, because I don't think the market's really going to change a whole lot from an inventory perspective.
Nope.
So having a team that knows how to reach beyond the on the market, but getting to address this whole group of private sellers, of future empty nesters, of people that don't want to just sell their property to make a profit. Right. They want to leave this
a legacy.
A legacy because they've invested so much love and
heart,
attention and detail. And versus a home that you're fixing up to put on the market.
Right.
Like
a flipper.
Well, yeah, you make certain decisions. You're like, am I going to buy the new Bosch or Frigidaire dishwashing machine, or I'm going to get some like cheapest Kenmore I can, right? And I'm an appliance guy. I just love good appliances, right?
Worksheets and data points.
Well, how good is this particular location going to be? And does it have the crystal dry feature for the dishwasher?
Here's a model I put together, honey. Well, what do you think? And I'm like, does it clean dishes?
Yeah, that's how I remember.
Yeah, so I think that idea of reaching that private seller who didn't know that they were going to sell, but has maybe thought about it. the home improvement decisions they're making are thinking about like what would they want, and double-edged sword. But if you're buying from the right people, if they might have really good taste. We happen to win the lottery and found someone like the paint colors, the new siding, the roof color, like
the new
all of
mechanicals.
That stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So it's we're
I totally
allowing
agree.
ourselves, like maybe I should be yawning, and if I were a horse I might be like extra flatulent for being so relaxed.
Yeah.
They do that too, by the way. They're like, that's a relaxed
Got
horse.
some good videos.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so accurate. You hear in the real estate community, when you look at the different the psychology behind the marketplace right now, and the why behind trying to match or finding inventory. These people, these sellers, they're 40% of our country and our state. And most of them aren't super clear on exactly what they're going to do. So putting a message out to that community, and whatever your story might be, I'll get a lot of grief about, well, they should be going on the market and going public. You shouldn't be doing this privately. I'm like, listen, you can wish all you want, but the reality is 40% of the population's not moving or going public because they don't need to. Right. It's not about the money. It's not about, whether they have to go or not. It's just they're not sure what to do. So when you motivate them with a really great story, which is the point here, and you put your story in front of them, and then all of a sudden you've created this life and this, I always say, pass the baton and the legacy on to a steward that will be as passionate about this as you are. And that resonates, right? And that's what we did. And it worked.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
It really is.
And now we're going to be moving you here in just a few weeks, literally like 2.5.
Yeah, is it
2.5.
They don't know this yet, but the seller, Mike, said, I think we might be able to pull this off by October 5th.
If that would be possible, it would be amazing at this point. We have this very
Sorry, this is like, you heard it here first. I'm like,
we have a very complicated spreadsheet of which couches we're surfing on for 10 days.
Yeah.
Literally, this is when you just do what you have to do, but they're homeless for basically just under 2 weeks because we have to wait, right? So you figure it out. You just figure it out. And it's possible we might be able to pull it off in one day.
Sitters, we've got dog sitters,
They have chickens too.
Chickens, rabbits. I think I have some clients who were like, so we don't really like the horses that much. I did therapy in my backyard during the pandemic because all my kids were sick to death of Zoom. And so I was like, okay, I know which clients can handle these boundaries. These are the boundaries. Come to my backyard. We'll do therapy with all my animals. It was a hit.
Yeah.
Again. And that was another reinforcer that I knew there was something here. So one of my kids found out that I reached out to mom and said, good news, like the chickens and the rabbits and the cats, they're going to be back. Like they're all going to be in the same place.
Wow.
We've got one rabbit that everybody loves. He's
Grogu, the therapy bunny.
The therapy bunny.
He's huge. He's a huge silver fox. Is the type
Raised him.
we hand raised him.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Fed him like kitten formula, and we got little pictures. He's so tiny, and now he's huge.
A massive bunny.
And he just like hops up in your lap, and he like he's so friendly. So
Was he a wild bunny?
No.
Okay.
No, we raised rabbits for a while. We've the only animals I haven't actually had yet are goats.
Oh, well, you probably will.
And like alpacas. I'm not doing alpacas, but
I think alpacas are so cool, other than the spitting.
I have 3 clients this week who are like, goat yoga?
Goat yoga. That's true.
That sounds like I'm going to have to like YouTube that or
I got to
something.
find a yoga instructor that wants to lead that for me. So if you guys know any yoga instructors that want to do goat yoga.
We'll put a little shout out on a 60-second on that, Carter. That would be so cool.
Oh my gosh.
So can you imagine, as you're expanding this, to me, the ability to do animal therapy, in this case, equestrian therapy, really rides dogs, cats, rabbits.
And it's like
the whole
bees. Yesterday, bees made a really big, actually frequently bees make a really big impact in session.
Interesting.
Because we're outside in nature, there's a lot of clover in the yard. I almost thought I knocked that over. And so the bees are out
Yeah.
going from clover flower to clover flower. And
That's
think
cool.
about it. Where's panic? Where's fear? Like bees. And so we get that moment to just breathe and look and observe. And this one young kid with allergies just watched these bumblebees and her whole body just relaxed. And she was like, they really are beautiful, aren't they? And she's always on the move. And for 10 minutes, just watch this bumblebee just go.
We're gonna have bees too. One of my coworkers and friends is a master beekeeper.
Oh, wow.
And so she'll be moving. Like I tried having a hive when we had the big like -30 polar vortex, and it killed our hive. She's like, it was pretty much the worst year you could have picked to have started
to
this.
try to do it.
So we'll kick it off, but she's gonna bring in a colony, and we'll have bees on property, and we'll get some honey.
That's cool.
So it'll be like a little, here's your gift bag, and inside you're gonna find a little bit of honey, and so I'm okay. That might be my contribution to this. Like, oh, welcome to the property. Here's your gift bag.
I'll be like, I'll do the case notes, honey.
Yeah, you bill insurance. You have fun with that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and handle gift bags.
It's fun. I love to nerd out on streamlining that process.
So you just touched on it. So as we're kind of closing the loop on this whole thing, how does insurance respond to this?
I honestly have to thank a generation of therapists who come before me that have proved this out. I am 100% benefiting from toils and pains of other therapists who've pioneered the way. I put insurance companies, while everyone needs a therapist, no one can get one. And it honestly is as simple as the insurance companies aren't bringing new therapists into their networks. They say they're full because by their numbers they are, but they have outdated numbers. And so I went to the insurance companies, again, really specific, very specific, saying, I've been in your network for years. Now I have my own clinic. And just a really quick overview. The insurance company knows me. They all know me, but they don't know Danielle Carlson Counseling, Equine Elevated. They know Clearwater Counseling. They know Treehouse Psychology, all these other clinics that I've been at. So my clinic has to have its own insurance contract. And that's where all the new therapists opening their own practice and trying to do this run into a problem.
Okay.
You can't get into the networks as a new clinic.
It's almost like a liquor license in that, like, we only allow so many. Sorry, you have to wait for one person to go out of business before someone can come back in. Yeah.
So
you're right. So they're working with old numbers.
They are. So I put together a very clear, like, this is my expertise. This is what I do. This is what I provide. These are the populations that I serve. And there are very niche populations. There's trauma, there's the LGBTQ community, suicidal teens, like all these people that I have a lot of expertise work with. I'm combining with equine therapy. So I knew there was no way the insurance companies could turn me away because they're desperate for quality providers that know how to do that. My concern was, what's their risk tolerance for equine assisted therapy?
Right.
Because 5 years ago, the tolerance was really low and they weren't doing it. And just in the past 5 years, the therapists who have paved the way, they've proved it out. They've done the numbers, and every single contract I applied for, I got.
And this happened with telehealth
impressive.
too. It wasn't until the pandemic hit. Like you couldn't get telehealth therapy short of a few plans or a few providers. It was super rare. Well, pandemic hit, right?
Right.
And now
they had no
every
choice.
single plan covers it, right? And so that's helped address some of that need.
Right.
But it doesn't meet everyone's need, right? Like, who wants another Zoom meeting? Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
The Zoom thing,
They're nice, I think, for bad weather or illness.
Yep.
And I have some clients who are like, I really need to talk to you, but. So we'll still do a telehealth session. And I have 2 clients that I see strictly telehealth because of where they are in Minnesota. But the thing is, like, being able to know Minnesota, right? Like, and I know Wisconsin too, because I have some people that come in from Wisconsin, but I know the community, I know their needs, and it's providing what they need and then talking to the people that are getting in the way and saying, here's the problem, let's change this. And so that's the next step. Like now, once we get settled in, like that next big, like, okay, now we're going to push even harder.
So how many clients are stepping into this move with you right now in terms of the growth model? Because you're trying to keep up with the growth model and transition into this new facility. That's going to be interesting for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, it will be. I have one family who said, well, you're only 5 minutes from us now, and that's 38. That's too much. I was like, okay. And I understand people have really crazy schedules.
Right.
And they have to do what works for them.
Right.
I also know they'll be back in the summer or the next time.
They will.
It happens all the time. I rarely lose clients. I graduate them and they come back when they need a tune-up.
That's how it works.
My door's always open. I'm always here for you. And so that's why I'm also always full, because I have all my new people and then all my old people, and they all just kind of, I fit them in.
And we now, if you draw concentric circles around where treatment occurs,
right.
Well, we now just have access to like 3 entirely different communities that were out of reach of the previous facility. So it's fascinating to see how it works. And then having really dug into looking at all of the past, like having helped with the business plan and look at the numbers, what's fascinating is that therapists, like teachers and a lot of other professionals, are grossly underpaid.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the reimbursement rates are low.
Yeah.
But with equine assisted therapy, the way that the insurance billing codes work, it actually makes it a little more reasonable. So by bringing horses, so from a business perspective, by including the horses in the practice, the billing rates go up. It doesn't cost any more for the client or the patient, right? But the reimbursement rates are higher because you're using a diagnostic tool.
It's a complexity code.
To completely nerd out, but it makes a huge difference on the ability to provide and increase access to services.
Right.
And it's actually even got a higher efficacy. It's got better client and patient outcomes.
Well, that's what I was going to just say. The outcome is so much better for the client.
Yeah. And absolutely, as a therapist, my costs are significantly higher doing equine assisted therapy.
Oh, of course they are.
That's why nobody can do it. Like the entry rate is impossible to overcome. And that's why I partnered at Windfall, because if I had not had this 2 years to launch from and to have someone willing to give me their space on a sweet deal, I could never have launched to where I am.
Right.
And
you are lucky.
I am. And so
timing is everything.
Right. And I'm not going to, so the key is knowing that so many other therapists would love to do it, but they can't afford the buy-in. It's how do we help them?
Right.
How do we help figure that out? Because insurance isn't going to pay more. They should, in my opinion.
They should.
Yeah, they totally should.
When did they ever listen to me?
And I'm just biased. Yeah, they totally should.
Yeah.
But creating that launch pad for other therapists to do the same thing Danielle is doing
which is amazing.
First learning, then partnering, and then
then
launching them out into the world and helping build that business case to partner with another stable, just like Danielle did, and carve out your corner of that community and
then provide continuing education and collaboration. Because in order to stay good, you have to continue learning and collaborating.
That's everybody.
With your team. And again, it comes back to the team. Like as we bought the house, we gathered our experts and we were like, that expert has it. They've got it. I trust them. And no matter what you're doing, if you want to be successful, you have to have a team of experts around you that you trust to do their job. And everybody just does their job and it works.
Take some of the emotion out of it.
Yeah. Exactly. So your aha moment, now that you're just weeks away from finally combining your home and this vision that you've had, what would your words of wisdom or your one nugget, what would that be to the audience, generally speaking, knowing what you do, that would inspire them to make whatever major life change they've been thinking about doing out there? What would be that one thing that you would share with them, with you?
Oh, man.
It's a big one.
I'm going to think for a second. The benefit I have is that I work daily to practice getting clear on what's in my head and what's in my body. And so when I took that time to settle in and think, what do I need? Like, where's the core? What is it that needs to shift? It got clear that my goals are always family first, self-care, and it's this idea of integration with healthy boundaries, right? Because I'm integrating a very sensitive line of work with my living space, and clear vision, clear boundaries. And there's something on the tip of my brain that's going to come.
The clarity is absolutely a critical piece.
Yeah,
clarity is huge.
Of purpose and mission. That's really what it is. When Ryan and I started talking, and we were like, this is our mission. And this isn't about finding a house to live in. This is about a mission that I feel in my bones that has been there my whole life, period. And it's staying true to that mission, staying true to who I am, and jumping forward into the dream and taking a risk.
Taking a risk.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one right there.
Mine's
being willing.
Easy.
Mm-hmm.
We were up at the cabin. It was over July 4th. And you had your very first draft of your business plan that you wrote, and you had me look it over. And I know I was nervous, like having someone who writes for a living, like
especially with your husband, you're like, oh my god,
he's gonna say mean things about me. No.
My feelings. He's the only one who can actually hurt my feelings.
And my reaction to it wasn't here's a bunch of edits. It's you're not dreaming big enough.
Yeah, that.
And she's like, what? You are not dreaming big enough. And that's my takeaway is that it's not just about your practice, but this whole mission and vision was it's not about just your site, but it's the next one and the next one. Your mission is to increase access to mental health using animals and getting therapy out of the office and into the outdoors.
There you go.
So
yeah, the nugget is like, honestly, this wouldn't happen if it weren't for our marriage and our partnership. So truly the bottom line of our story is Ryan and I have done our work as individuals and as a married couple, in and out of therapy, working through hard stuff, ugly, nasty, icky, awful, hard stuff that we had to work through that has created this beautiful partnership that means more to me than anything on the face of the earth. And if it wasn't for Ryan and our marriage, none of this would happen.
Right.
And so knowing that like the two of us are stronger and that his gifts are so different from mine, but I need his gifts and he needs mine. Like, yeah, I think that's really what it is.
It was in family therapy, a family therapy session where the therapist was like, and this was a completely unrelated topic, but it's like, Ryan, do you want to be on the train or do you want to be off of the train? Because this train's going someplace. Yeah. And so either you're on it and you get to be with everyone,
right,
or you're going to be waving bye-bye from the sideline. So are you with them or are you on the train or are you off the train? And it's funny because it was this whole journey. I'm like, oh, dang, I'm going to be on the train. I want to be up in the front pulling the choo-choo thing going, woo, woo, so,
Yeah, because the kids were like jumping on the train before me. Like our oldest had created this whole Google slide when I had an idea one night. I was like, wouldn't it be cool to move to the country and do therapy? And my oldest was like, yes. Now it's my presentation.
Dear family, here's my 16-slide PowerPoint presentation on why we should move to the country. Yeah. So, true story.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, that's why I wanted the two of you here.
Thank you.
To do this story, share this story, because as a couple, as individuals, and on your own paths, right, and your path together, you've combined who you are individually and created an amazing story together that has to be shared, and we'll see tremendous growth, in my opinion.
I'm excited.
So I'm really excited
to see.
for both of you. It's just a gift, really, to be a part of the story. So thank you. We're so glad that you guys could all listen to this amazing story of Ryan and Danielle, equestrian therapy, marketing guru, remarkable. Follow them. How do they watch and find you? How do they find you?
Our socials are Equine Elevated.
Equine Elevated.
And upcoming, a little teaser, is a YouTube channel will be coming. Probably my kids will make me get on TikTok and this guy too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
My kids will love it. I'll just...
I mean, I do
good.
this kind of stuff for a living.
I know
right?
you do.
But
He's got a podcast, everybody.
It's going to be...
unless you're in the technology space.
It's going to be gritty and honest, so...
I think that's going to be super fun. And you don't know what do you have a title yet?
It'll be Equine Elevated.
yeah.
It'll be Equine Elevated. Awesome. Okay, everybody, Equine Elevated, Ryan and Danielle. Take a look at the YouTube channel. It's going to be coming up probably in the next months.
Yeah.
We'll kick it off as soon as we move in. Like, I'm planning on taking footage
Immediately.
from the move in, because you're going to want to have some B-roll of people like moving boxes and like getting the horses off the trailer for the first time.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So there's my part-time job.
Maybe we'll do some mushy hugging goodbye. We're moving 22 miles. We'll have to hug and cry.
You have to do that.
Community.
Although we're not going to shed any tears over no more split level. So.
Yeah, well, you know what? The house is beautiful. The equestrian farm itself is beautiful.
Yeah.
Equine Elevated. Check it out if you've been looking for family, friends, anybody you know that's been exploring a therapy option. Danielle, everybody. Danielle Carlson, Equine Elevated. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week on Fly the Coop.